It's time for Remodel Revolution. And now, an award-winning contractor with over 40 years experience. Here is Alex Guthrie.
Welcome to another episode of Remodel Revolution. I'm your host, Alex Guthrie. We're coming to you from the world headquarters of Remodel Revolution from deep in the heart of the great state of Texas. That would be Big D, Dallas, Texas. This is the show where there's no politics, no sports, and no mean people. That's why we're here. Everybody smiles on Remodel Revolution. We have got a fantastic show today. We have Paul Forsman. We are going to talk about women-centric design, and we're going to talk about purchasing and why you would purchase prepared plans as opposed to hiring an architect. Or I guess it's the same thing, only different. Also, we're going to talk to Eduardo Padilla. Eduardo is the owner of Platinum Turnkey Solutions here in Dallas. They do sheetrock and insulation and paint, and he's a fantastic person with an incredible story of how he got here and how he got to the success that he is today. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. I was recently at the Sunbelt Builder Show and kind of cruising around looking for cool things. And I ran into our first guest today, Paul Forsman. He is with Design Basics Houseplans. And this is a company that you would buy a prepared set of plans from. Basically, footprints of houses or plans of houses that are already prepared that you would maybe make some alterations or things like that. It's kind of like when you're looking at the internet and you see your dream home, you go, man, that looks awesome. And you can actually just purchase that plan. So let's introduce our first guest today, Paul Forsman. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Alex. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I loved visiting with you at Sunbelt, and I thought, this would be a really cool segment on buying prepared plans. And you looked at me and you said, that's all fine and good. We'll talk about that. But what I really want to talk about is women-centric design. And I love that whole idea, of course, in remodeling. That's what I do. It's all about almost all of our residential construction business. It comes down to what mama wants. And so let's talk a little bit. Give me your thoughts about women-centric design and how that works in your company.
It goes back to 2003. And although we were already one of the largest residential design firms in the country, it was kind of a aha moment, and we came to realize and appreciate over the next several months just how much influence the ladies were having in terms of the homes that were being built. Our customer base was primarily male. Most general contractors, most home builders, and most of the tradespeople working on the homes are guys. We'd been getting some great feedback from our builders, but we didn't realize that a lot of that feedback was coming through kind of a set of male filters. Mm-hmm. And so when we started specifically researching and asking and spending more time within focus groups with the ladies and giving them permission to tear apart our designs and what would you do differently, or maybe they just moved in and boy, if you could do it all over again. we started getting some invaluable feedback, and that's guided our design process now for almost the last 20 years.
You know, one of the things that I've said to people for many years is I can pretty much walk into a house and tell you if it was designed by a male or a female. Mostly because I walk in pretty nice homes, even brand new homes, with a woman, and she's like, "Why'd they do that?" And I go, "Because it's the guy. He doesn't do the laundry. He doesn't care about what you think." You know, if you wanna find out if a guy did it, look at the man cave or look at the garage, or maybe the master bath. It'll have a really nice shower, but maybe not a tub. What are what are some of the things that you've learned that women would do differently than men?
Um, we studied a little bit about how women look at home design and its suitability for her and her household. And we discovered there are basically four primary lenses that women will look at design through. The first one is de-stressing, and where in that home will she go to relax, to maybe recharge or rejuvenate. It's interesting you mentioned the large shower. We did a piece of research, and 78% of all of our respondents, many respondents, the question was, if you have a tub in the master bath, how often do you take a bath in that tub? 78% said never.
Right.
And so the larger shower is what people are expecting in new homes today, whether or not there's a tub in that owner's bath.
Mm-hmm.
Now, yes, there has to be a tub somewhere in the home, but if it doesn't have a larger shower, people are just going on to the next home to look at.
Well, and over the years, I've learned that a lot of people like to shower together, and that really got us started as well as I remember in the '80s when I was first getting in business and remodeling larger homes. One of the big deals in those in some bathrooms, we call them California bathrooms. We had the tub in the shower, but but you know, double shower heads, and of course now you have the big rain heads and all the stuff that you can have, and I totally get that. I totally get that.
Yeah, I'm
What
sure
about
you would
kitchen?
know. And,
So there were four things. I'm sorry to interrupt you. There were four things.
right. So one other good example I think of de-stressing is the whole idea of when you come in the garage. Recon Analytics did some research, and they found out that 91% of the time, if you have an attached garage, you're coming in and out of the house through the garage there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're walking into a laundry mud room and there's piles of laundry waiting to be done, you know, you've just come home after a long day. It's been a tough day. That's stressful.
No kidding.
And so,
yeah.
having a separate laundry room altogether and making the rear foyer, not a mud room, but I mean, the front entry foyer is something really special. The rear foyer, the primary entrance of the home, maybe it's not going to have as much money spent to make that impression, but it should still be something that's very accommodating. Moms of elementary age school kids taught us that kids know how to use lockers at school. And so at 7:15 in the morning, you know, that's where the lunch is, and that's where the coats and the backpacks and the science project and the gym clothes, it's all staged there. And it's not, you know, Mom, Dad, have you seen my, you know, we can de-stress the
So
morning.
it's being able to organize everybody before the storm hits.
Right. And
You're
that's that
screaming at them
second
to get
lens.
out. You're screaming at them to get down and get in the car. You don't want to have to run around and find their lunch pail.
Absolutely. But organization and storage in general is the second of those lenses. And you know, we've never designed a home that had too much storage space.
No.
We've been doing this since 1983. We've got, you know, 2,500 plans or so, but none of them that have too much storage space. And bigger kitchen pantries. You see it all the time. I'm absolutely certain on the remodeling side. But now we're seeing much more common to have the pantry, if it's big enough, to also be a prep area. It's an extension of the kitchen because the kitchens are so much more open for entertaining. that they're really kind of thought of as both that functional space and the aesthetic of being an entertaining
And
space.
they are part of the entertainment and part of the family gathering area. Yeah, it's the heart of the home. And then as far as the pantry, and now in the older homes we had that, we called them butler's pantries, and you would have a food prep area, or if you entertained a lot, you had a place that you could have servers do meal prep, or whatever stage for maybe prepping for entertaining a large group of people. Or sometimes we would build them large enough that they were actually an alternate, like, small kitchen where you could go in and do, maybe it'd have a dishwasher. It's a way to sort of get things out of the main part. And that makes a lot of sense, because now we've opened everything up to where the kitchen and the main entertainment area are all combined.
And we call that a work-in kitchen, not merely a walk-in kitchen, but a work-in.
That's interesting.
Where, yeah, as long as you've got a sink and a dishwasher in there, you may also have a wall oven, or at least a microwave.
Yes.
But especially for folks that do a lot of entertaining, and the guests start arriving at 5:30, you can close the door off to that work-in kitchen, but the main kitchen's beautiful, presentable, all the food's hot, ready to go. And then you can clean that area up later. It might be more of an ethnic situation, and you're looking for kind of a kosher kitchen area, separate for some of the preparation from the rest of the kitchen. It might be due to smells. It might be, very fragrant, very aromatic, and maybe not some of the smells that you want to have invading the rest of your home.
Well, and part of it is flow. And so you want to be able, when you're entertaining a large group, you want to be able to maybe remove dishes and serving dishes and stuff in a way that people can move around. Let's say you have an island or some sort of a buffet they're being served on, so you can move stuff around and not be running over each other. Is my point. It's a traffic flow thing. We used to design a lot of kitchens in larger homes around that traffic flow. That's very interesting. So what's next on what's number 3 on the list of important things?
And we were just touching on it, is the whole idea of entertaining, and how the home entertains is so related to how that individual prefers to entertain. It seems that formal entertaining is sliding out in favor of more casual entertaining, more along the lines of get-togethers. But still, how does the home facilitate that? Indoor and outdoor entertaining, and what is that connection? And for folks that do like to entertain a lot, is there a second entertaining spot? So maybe the kids and their video games or whatever they're doing, whatever they're playing, doesn't necessarily interrupt what the parents are doing, what the adults are gathered together, and their conversations. So how the home entertains is really related to the buyer's preference there.
Now, have you found that we've deformalized our homes a bit in the last 20 years? In other words, we don't have as many big formal rooms, a big formal living room, big formal dining room.
Yeah, and that just ties in with a more open concept. It seems like we're putting more emphasis on practical, usable space, rather than having that dining room or that formal living room that's more of the showpiece, but only gets used half a dozen times a year.
Right.
So yeah, we've definitely seen a trend toward more usable, functional spaces. But because everything's open, it's also got to be beautiful.
That's exactly. Excuse me. Pardon me. I've got a frog jumped in my throat this morning. Well, that's right. And then when we talk about the last year and a half, and we talk about people officing out of their homes, all of that is super valuable space. It's important space now that you can't have a room you don't use anymore in a house.
That's absolutely right. And you just led into the fourth of those 4 lenses, and we call it flexible living. And so where that learning from home center is going to be, it could be college kids taking online classes, or it could be all of our kids over the last year who were remote learning. It could be that home office. Some flex spaces are dual purpose because it can be, home office by day, guest room by night type
Right,
of thing.
right.
It can be larger laundry areas that double as a craft room. But the flexibility of spaces, because from our side of the business, when we publish a home plan, and if we say, this is bedroom 4, it's a 3-bedroom, 1-story layout, and here's bedroom 4, then that's how people tend to see that. If we label that same bedroom 4 as flex space, that opens up their imagination a little bit for how they would use that space as opposed to defining it as bedroom 4.
That's fascinating to me. So, what tell us the process that you go through to get to a plan. So, we're talking about essentially a prepared. Did I describe that right earlier? Sort of when you're looking on the internet, and you could my favorite house plans pops up, or my dream home, and you look at all these different floor plans of these houses. I do it all the time. I love it. And you kind of fantasize about, wow, or maybe you've got your significant other with you and you're going, man, we would love that one. That one worked great for us. We'll downsize, we'll whatever it is. How do you get to where you as a company decide on these plans and what a good design is?
Well, our core customer base is the professional home builder. And so we're talking with builders all the time about what they need in homes, what they're hearing from customers in terms of what the customers are looking for and what's going to work price point wise, those types of things. Uh, our home designs are designed once and sold repetitively, sold multiple times to
Mm-hmm.
folks from across the country. And so where it might be $5,000 to design, prepare, copyright, marketing materials, all of that engineering for these plans, we might be able to sell that plan for $1,000. And so the home buyer has or the builder has a very inexpensive route to a really good quality design. And because we do have the opportunity to sell it repetitively, we can offer it at a very attractive price. We can
Well, and you
also
do a
send
lot
it
of
to them.
research going into your plans. I mean, the thing that I'm impressed with is that the amount of research that you do. So you're not just throwing out you're not taking a high school kid and going, here, do your best here. I've seen that in the past, actually. Particularly builders are terrible about it. They'll get the cheapest person they can and have them do a little blue line somewhere, or a little, just a line drawing, and they'll go out and want to build a house with. Those were the old days. I don't know that you can do that anymore. It's a lot
Not
more
very,
sophisticated now, but um, and so I love the idea that you're doing the research on what women want and women centric homes. I think that that's very, very important, and that sort of goes down the line in many different aspects. Actually, you can take that into a whole lot of different formats. I really like the idea that you're doing that. What are um, some of the questions people would have, particularly a homeowner, if they're wanting to just buy some of your plants? And can a homeowner buy them, or is it just builders?
about half of our business is directly with the home buyer.
Uh huh.
And so our business is split fairly evenly down the middle.
That's
Um,
interesting. And so, do they have to, if a home buyer or a homeowner, we'll say the homeowner, purchases your plan, and they have issues with, say, building codes, things like that? A question they would have is, do I need an engineer? I mean, there's some basic things that people are going to need to know. Do you have a person that works directly with them, or do they just purchase it and they're on their own?
we do have a plan alterations team. a department here at Design Basics, and so we'll make whatever modifications a customer can ask us for in the way of design. Our plans are engineered, but we're in Omaha, Nebraska, so our plans are engineered. The basic underlying plan is engineered for our local conditions. We do have an engineering company that can stamp plans for any jurisdiction in the United States if somebody doesn't have a local resource. But yes, it's not uncommon at all that somebody is going to need to talk to a local engineer. For example, the soil conditions in your area, and if
Mobile soil.
floating slab, they're going to need to find a local engineer to engineer that slab for them. And so while our plans are designed to the international residential building codes, we can't necessarily warrant that it's going to absolutely work as you receive it from us. You may need
Of
to
course.
talk to
I
a
mean,
local
every
engineer.
community is different. Everybody has different, code regulations and things like that have to be abided by, and you just have to be able to deal with that. Whether you're the builder or the homeowner, doesn't matter. You still have to deal with those same issues. Well, that was a fascinating discussion. I really appreciate you coming and spending some time with us this morning. I enjoy looking through your website, looking at your plans. And I love the idea of the women-centric planning. I think that's very, very brilliant. And I wish you well. Hope you guys have a lot of continued success.
Well, thank you very much, Alex, for inviting me to be here today, and we would love to have the opportunity to talk again.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you so much. Have a great
Bye-bye.
day. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to my very, very good friend, Mr. Eduardo Padilla of Platinum Turnkey Solutions. I drew a blank there for a second. That's not unusual. We'll be right back. It's only a few short weeks until we'll be running our air conditioners all day and all night. Hey, it's time to get an HVAC tune-up scheduled. Call my friends at Total Air and Heat in Plano, Texas at 972-881-0020 right now and get on their schedule for a tune-up. Don't wait for the long lines. Get ahead of the crowd. Total Air has been servicing North Dallas and Plano and Richardson areas for over 60 years. Steve and Justin Lawton sell and service Carrier brand heating and cooling systems with Green Speed Intelligence technology. So give them a call at 972-881-0020 or contact them at totalair.com. Hey, don't forget to follow us on all your social media, like us on Facebook, subscribe and share on YouTube, and check us out on all your social media platforms. Don't forget to watch Remodel Revolution on your smart TV, on Texas Weather Tracker TV, on Roku, Android, Apple, and Amazon TV, Sundays at 1 and 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. You may think that this is just, no big deal talking about sheetrock, tape bed texture, things like that. But I could talk all day with my next guest, Eduardo Padilla. He is the owner of Platinum Turnkey Solutions in Arlington, Texas. And we have a lot of ground to cover. We're gonna talk about something near and dear to my heart. When you wake up in the middle of the night and there's a waterfall in your bedroom, what do? Welcome to the show, Mr. Eduardo Padilla. How are you, sir?
Pretty good, sir. Pretty good. Thank you for inviting me, Alex. It's a pleasure always to be here, to be part of your program.
Thank you.
This is
Yeah.
This
yeah.
is our business, you know.
Yeah,
And any
yeah.
way we can help homeowners, that's great.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about your story because you have a fascinating story. You came from Mexico, and you tell me about your first job when you came to Texas, and when was it?
Well, this was in 1995. I was gonna be here just for a couple months to study English, and then I enrolled myself on Collin Community College, trying to improve, you know, and learn English for another job opportunity. But long story short, I never thought I was gonna end in living here in the U.S. The money was running quickly, and I started looking for a part-time job. And my very first job was in a Jack in the Box flipping hamburgers. And
You miss it?
sorry,
It's okay. And then where did we go from there?
I'm sorry. Oh, it's been a long run. I'm sorry. I get very emotional.
You've come a long way, my friend. You've come a long way. You have you were working in a car wash,
Yeah,
doing the wheels.
I work in Jack in the Box. I work in a car wash industry for a couple years, and then there was opportunity to work with a good friend of mine in a drywall business, and I was not with any experience at all in construction, drywall, or anything like that. And a few months later, I was able to, you know, to pull the strings, to move the gears in the right direction, and I was able to start building a pretty good, interesting line of clients. In that time, there was only the majority of our business. It was with production builders, big builders, you know, with many subdivisions, and there was a challenging time where basically the production homes, everything is about timing, volume, subdivisions, and a few years later, I figured out that it was very hard to make money with those budgets, you know, because everything is related about pricing, budgeting, and not much about quality or service. Through the years, I started just our own company is now, like you mentioned, Platinum Turnkey Solutions, where we've been focusing basically in dealing with people who cares, people who's looking for better materials, better service,
A higher quality.
higher quality. That doesn't mean that we are expensive, you know, because some people relate.
Well, that's all relative.
Yeah.
Because now I've watched you grow for 25 years or something.
Yes,
I don't know how long it's been. It's been a long time. We were both young guys.
I know.
I had a full head of hair and a six-pack,
I know.
and here I am with a head and a keg.
Yeah,
So-
well, now we don't have that six pack but yeah, it's been a very interesting time changing, and basically now we're working for the majority of our clients. They're custom builders, where we normally never repeat the same project two times. Once we do that house, we probably never going to see that plan again ever. We're still doing a lot of remodels with many a good percentage.
Well, you have you kind of developed a niche business where you do a high end finish. I mean, your finishes, your all of your employees are professionals, and they're extremely good at what they do. But there's a lot more than just hanging sheetrock, putting mud on it, and sanding it off.
Yes.
The real core of what makes the difference in a company like yours and the guy that just came off the production home building industry is the little things like the cleaning up,
Yes.
the priming,
The masking.
the fact that you go through and you look at your work critically, and you go, and because when you come on my job, you're like, we're going to be back in a couple of days with a crew to fix all these little nicks and all the little things, and that's something that we used to never get. You know,
Yes.
we just didn't get it because we didn't have companies that had that quality standard. So I wanted to just talk because I love your story. It's the American dream.
It is.
You're doing incredible. You've got an incredible family. I'm real proud of you. You've done really well. So let's move on and let's talk about some of the things that have come up lately. I should have had you here, 3 or 4 months ago, maybe 6 months ago, after that big freeze.
Yes.
Because people are, but you kind of have a similar thing part of this year because you have people running their air conditioning and it's going to flood through the ceiling as much, not as often, but it happens more than it should. And so you're going to get calls to repair sheetrock. And I have just some basic questions that people ask me, like they'll see the water damage and they'll say, can we save that sheetrock? I don't want to have to pay to replace it. And most of the time I'm like, no, you really can't, because it's just basically powder and paper.
Yeah.
And there's no way to save it. But the other thing that you have to deal with is what's above it or what's behind it if it's in
Correct.
a wall. And that's the insulation and the other things that have gotten wet.
Yeah, sometimes the drywall is the easy part of the damage.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing that we going back a little bit on something that we're trying to do, the drywall trade, the drywall finish is a very simple trade, but what involves on trying to provide a good service is the work before that, the proper demolition, the proper masking,
Preparation.
using the right materials, the right tools, and especially, it's enough stress dealing with the water damage when you have kids, you have pets, you have your head.
Furniture.
And the last thing that you want to worry is about the guys that are going to bring, stress to your life. You want to try to make it easy, where we do the proper protection, sealing the area that we're going to work, and sending the right people, because we're trying to be very particular with the people that we hire, make sure we don't have any problems later where things disappear for the houses or the people is damaging, because that's important for us. Going to the subject about the water leak, the most important thing is when going back to the storm in February, I've been doing this for a while, Alex, and I never see so many water damages in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been insane. I
Yeah.
mean, even like I mentioned to you off the air, we're starting 2 projects today with water damages. One is entire home in Plano. It's probably almost 7,000.
Still from that freeze.
Oh, yes.
So
because
you're still just getting to homes.
Yes,
that were
sir.
damaged
Because
in
now
February.
they took forever to work out the proper budgets, money, checks for homeowners, for general contractors, where finally the funds are there. But in that time, we have people who's been living in a hotel or people who's been leasing a house for 6 months already.
I had
And
no
now,
idea.
Now we have at the beginning of those projects, that people basically is losing their home for 1 year.
Wow.
And some of the water damages there quickly. They're just $1,000, couple $1,000 in damage. But some, basically, the people lost everything.
But when you have a wall or a ceiling that's in a room and it has water damage and has to be patched and replaced, it's a mess.
Yes,
it doesn't
is.
matter how big. I mean, it does matter how big. I'm not talking about whole house. I'm just talking about a typical leak would be a ceiling in a bedroom. Maybe it goes through the floor if it's a 2-story and the ceiling below it. So you have sort of a defined area that you're
Yes.
working in. But we're talking about houses that had the entire water lines in the entire houses burst and spray for days because they
Correct.
couldn't get them off. We didn't have any heat, and then they froze and they thawed, and we had the same problem all over again. And so it's massive damage that has to be repaired. Are you having? Are they having problems, if it's taken them 6 months to get settled with the insurance company and get these budgets worked out? That's a long time.
Yeah, that's a long time, and it's a lot of problems. Well, when you have a leak, to any of the homeowners they're watching the program, the first thing is to shut the water off,
Right.
turn the AC off, because many of the time it's not a water line; it's just a condensation line where the we have 110 temperatures. The attics they're probably 130, 140 degrees. We have a lot of condensation, and that just happened to my own house a couple of weeks ago.
Really?
Where the water overflows the tray for the AC. Now the water is running through the walls, is buckling your hardwood floor.
And you don't see it. I mean,
Yeah, you don't see it.
you don't
Sometimes
see
you
it till
smell,
it's.
but
yeah.
you really, until you see the floors, they're kind of
Yeah.
buckling, and you start seeing all these problems on the hardwood floor. That's a problem.
Yes.
That's when you need to hit the brakes, turn the AC off, turn the water off, and ideally call to a professional. In this case, would be a plumber, could be a AC contractor where they can locate the problem. If it's nothing major, fix it. And then that's when you can go in two different ways. If it's a smaller damage, we can be happy to help you. When I say small, we're talking about 2-3 walls, one ceiling. Is something that we can do, where the first thing is you want to remove any damage to our wall.
When you say we can do, you're talking about instead of having to bring in another
Subcontractor.
a contractor or something
Because
like that.
if you only have a ceiling, basically it's better to remove that drywall, because the drywall and the insulation basically works like a big sponge.
Yes. Yeah.
They're just sucking water, and more likely you're not gonna be able to reuse those
I
materials.
just tell them to just get it out.
Yes.
I mean, there's nothing there to salvage, and none of it's expensive material-wise. Typically, I mean, nowadays I don't know what things cost anymore, but it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's not.
A
you're right.
piece of sheetrock wasn't
Yes.
that expensive, so
Yeah.
the materials, just get rid of it, get it out of there. And so you don't have to deal with a mold issue.
Exactly. That's a big problem.
insulation. Don't try and let your insulation dry out. I
Yeah.
see this all the time, and I'm
That
like,
never works.
why are you worried about it? Just get the stuff out of there. Put new insulation in. Now, there's something I wanted to ask you, because I've looked at a lot of these. Something I saw this year that I'd never seen before, where these guys, the remediation people, are drilling holes along the baseboard
Yes.
to try and get air in the walls. I guess that's an attempt to dry out the inside of the wall cavity, but if it's got insulation in it, that is not going to work.
Yeah, no, those holes that you're talking about, I've been seeing a lot too. That's kind of new for us in the last couple of years. I think it's a good system if you have a minor leak on the lower part of the walls. If the moisture level is slightly higher, but you don't see really major damage on walls and ceilings, I think those systems drilling the holes where the baseboard is going to cover works. You need the remediation company is a key contractor in a water damage, because they're going to be the professionals who decide what needs to come out. Could be drywall, insulation, sometimes cabinets.
Well, and they're who the
baseboards.
insurance company depends on.
Yeah.
So their word is got a lot
Exactly.
of, got a lot of weight to it. Their
Yeah.
recommendations.
They're the ones who basically mark the line of the scope of the work.
Right.
Where
right.
you can determine if it's only $1,000 or $2,000 damage, and then they can escalate it to dozens of thousands, or in some cases you lost the whole property,
Right,
where it's
right.
cheaper just to demo the entire house and do it. But you're right, the insulation and drywall is really not that expensive. It's better to take it out, remove it, stay away from problems with mold, because the mold is a big issue.
I had a guy that he could not conceive of why I was telling him to pull his carpet.
Yeah.
I just said, pull your carpet out, because the pad under it.
Yes.
And in about 2 or 3 hours, it
yeah.
starts smelling.
Yeah.
Well, your carpet, ladies and gentlemen, is full of crap. It's
It is.
stuff you've been packing in there with your feet for years, and it goes down through that carpet, goes down into that pad, and baby, when it gets wet, it just turns into a big nasty mess, and it gets moldy literally in hours. So I'm telling the guy, just peel it back. But he just didn't want to have to pay for that new pad, and
Yeah.
he sucked it, and he sucked it. He had a deal in there, a shop vac I'm literally for hours. And the remediation guy came in, and first thing he did is he peeled
Pull
it
the
back.
carpet.
So, folks, if you have a lot of water, if it's in something replaceable, like if you want to save your carpet, peel the carpet back, pull the padding out from under it, and get rid of it, because you will never dry it out. It just becomes a mold issue.
And keep in mind that those of some of those pads, they're made with the recycled fibers.
Yes.
And the thing is, I've been seeing it where they have a white carpet. As soon as that thing gets so wet, all the colors, the ink from those recycles, they start seeing those colors coming out on the carpet.
Absorbing into the dryer. When the carpet dries out, it's like a sponge.
Correct. And it's really sometimes it's really not worth to try to save it. It's better just to remove it. Make sure we control the moisture levels, with the proper moisture readings. Once it's controlled that level, that we get the green lights from the remediation companies, that's when we start putting back on. But that's something very important. Do not cover your walls, do not cover your ceilings with any new insulation or new drywall until you're 100% sure that the moisture level is back to the normal.
Because that moisture's in the framing material.
Oh, yes.
It's in all kinds of places.
OSB,
and that whole,
the backer board, the back of the stucco. It's so many areas where the moisture can be trapped. And I've been seeing that. I've been seeing where we get hired because apparently the other guy performed a bad work. And maybe the problem there was he did everything right, but they did it too soon. They speed the progress of the process of the reconstruction before the moisture level that was controlled. That's a key part. And sometimes when we already have damaged that moisture for months, you can even have to replace those studs, or at least spray it with the proper, mold killer primer. Spray that product, and then that's when you can do the insulation and drywall. And
so get it back where it's safe to put it back. You have to be patient. There's no getting around it. It's going to do what it's going to do, and so that's all really fascinating. And I really appreciate you coming in and spending time with me this morning. And really, really proud of you and your family for what you've done. You've done a great job. And we're going to come back and we'll have some more discussions about, we're going to have him back. We're going to talk about textures and things like that, which is what I planned on today, but we ran out of time. So Eduardo Padilla with Platinum Turnkey Solutions. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I'll have a closing statement. Imagine this, a totally customized, organized, and beautiful master closet. A home office that fits right into a perfect space. A pantry designed specifically for your storage needs. Imagine your home totally organized. It's time to call the design professionals at Closets by Design DFW and turn your dreams into a reality. With a design staff over 30 strong, Closets by Design works directly with you to create your dream space, and they build it locally, helping support the DFW community. Check them out at dallas.closetsbydesign.com or call them at 972-361-0010. Use the promo code RRV to find out about the amazing specials and discounts available. That's dallas.closetsbydesign.com or call them at 972-361-0010. And don't forget that promo code RRV, Closets by Design. Well, it has been a fantastic day, a fantastic show. I really appreciate everybody watching. I hope that you'll take some time and subscribe to Remodel Revolution on YouTube, like us and share us. And I got some great responses from last week's show, and I really, really appreciate it. Please send me any ideas you have for future shows, any comments, any information you need. Feel free to contact me, alex@remodelrev.com, alex@remodelrev.com. And until next week, this is Alex Guthrie signing off. Have a good week.
and opinions of this program are for educational and entertainment purposes only and are not intended to replace the recommendations of a hired professional. You can catch Remodel Revolution anytime. Follow the show on the website, remodelrevolutionradio.com, or on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, using the handle @Remodel Revolution Radio. You can always listen to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and TuneIn, and watch the show anytime on YouTube.